Alright, hello, and welcome to attempted 1 credit clear of Contra on the hardest settings. I'm just going to get into this right away. 3, 2, 1, let's go. So, why hardest? It's so I can show off a unique enemy that only spawns on hard and hardest. There they are. They're trying their best. Welcome, and that's been my TED Talk. Thanks for having me. So, the other things that hardest changes is there's a lot more enemies, and anything that has, like, a set amount of hit points has a lot more hit points. Hard gets a little crazy. Hardest gets stupid crazy. So, this is actually a kind of newer route where I try not to grab any power-ups for the first 2 stages, because it allows certain power-up capsules to spawn on waterfall that don't spawn if you have a power-up. So if you've either died, recently, or you haven't grabbed a power-up the entire game, they show up. Otherwise, they're not there. And one of those power-ups is a barrier, which allows you to pretty much skip all of waterfall. But first, I need to get through this base. So I'm actually purposely trying to manipulate the spawn order here. Alright. Machine gun. Machine gun's doable. But the true enemy of hardest difficulty level is coming up. It's the bubble machine. And I've not... basically, that's like the gatekeeper. Oh, another machine gun. Spread gun allows you to control the bubbles a lot more, but machine gun, you can still wiggle the joystick a lot and take out a lot of the bubbles. Alright, here's our last chance, and I missed him. Alright, we're going into the bubble machine with 1 extra life and the machine gun. So there's 2 phases. First, you have to take out all these targets with 1 cannon up top and all these respawning enemies. Alright, and now the tough part is I can only aim at 1 of these bubble machines at a time. They're only vulnerable when they come back together. Thankfully, the machine gun, like, mows through them pretty quickly. But things can still go south at any time here. Oh, I had a boomerang bubble. It was going to leave the screen and it came back just to screw up everything. This is hard. Unfortunately, this is really hard to do without spread gun. I was happy I got rid of one of the bubble machines so quickly, but if you let those go for a split second, they just fill the screen with bubbles. And the sad part is, like, the rest of this game is a lot easier. You just have to be careful, because some of the runners on hardest will fire off a shot as soon as they're on the screen, and the bullets go faster. But as long as you're, like, always shooting forward, you'll get them, you'll clip them as soon as they're on screen. Now for the real thumb killer. These guys that do nothing but just take a lot of shots. So if you're not familiar with arcade Contra, one thing you might find surprising is they pretty much mash together, like, the second half of the game into just one long level. Or vice versa. It was originally one long level and they split up into individual levels for the NES version. I'm just waiting for this flamethrower. There we go. And you can kind of seal this flame jet to safely move forward. I'm glad I took my time there. That flame jet came out at the most inopportune time. So here's a fun little trick. This doesn't work on the Japanese ROM set, because they actually extend the platform where that football player is, so you can't just duck back behind the corner. And until recently, I used to take a death at the beginning of this section, which would be the hangar in the NES, because there's another barrier power-up that only shows up if you have no other power-ups. But recently, I've tried to stop doing that and save my lives, which only leads to one really hard fight at the beginning of the alien layer, but the rest of it's still fairly manageable. I almost forgot about that gunner. So, first I have to try to take out some of these alien shrimpies that come out, because it will make the next encounter much easier if they're all out of the way. I think they're clear, so... Oh, there's one. Alright, so now I gotta try to take out the mother mouth here before they spawn something right in front of me like that. Now, having spread gun, if you can take the spread gun to the final boss, it definitely makes it easier, but it's still very manageable. If the 1cc was still alive and I only had a life or two left, I would be worried, but with this amount of extra lives left, I can take the really cheesy strategy for the final boss. So the trick is just to try to get as many hits in on the heart as you can per life, and then abuse invulnerability. Because who cares about having extra lives when the final boss gives you so much health that you get 14 extends from it. Yeah, everything went clean after the bubble machine. It's a shame about that initial run, but hardest is a surprisingly difficult run. The funny thing is, now that I go back to normal or hard, they're pretty basic. I can only live by hardest now. Also, shoutouts to Passionate Norio. I can't tell if his eyes are rolled up in his head in that picture or if he just has no pupils. But enjoy your good faces credits here. And I'll return in another attempted one credit clear of the next game, Super Contra.